Before Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, there was a man who became a billionaire when billionaires didn't even exist, and his story is unbelievable. Today we think becoming rich requires technology, industries, or global markets. But the first billionaire in history made his fortune long before the modern world. He became so rich that modern economists still struggle to calculate his exact wealth. And the craziest part? He didn't run a company. He didn't invent a product. He didn't even live in a developed nation. He became a billionaire in the 14th century, when most people didn't even know what money truly was. To understand this story, we go back more than 700 years. The world was filled with kingdoms, deserts, tribal lands, and empires fighting for land. International banking didn't exist. Global trade was slow and dangerous. Most people lived their entire lives without touching real gold. But in West Africa, there existed an empire so wealthy that its rulers were spoken of in legends. That empire was Mali, and its king became the richest man the world had ever seen, richer than any billionaire today. His name was Mansa Musa. He ruled the Mali Empire during the early 1300s. And while most kings were busy fighting battles, Musa was building wealth that would shake the world. But how did he do it without industries, tech, or global business? The answer lies deep beneath the African soil. Mali had something everyone wanted but hardly anyone possessed: gold. So much gold that Mali became the world's leading supplier during that era. Mansa Musa controlled over half of the world's gold reserves. Imagine one man holding more gold than all the governments of Europe combined. Gold mines in Mali were enormous, and caravans transported mountains of gold bars across the Sahara Desert. Every piece of gold coming out of the empire legally belonged to Musa. He didn't need factories. He didn't need investors. His wealth literally grew out of the ground. But gold wasn't his only source of wealth. Mali also controlled the salt trade, which was more valuable than gold at that time. Salt preserved food, and without it, entire populations would starve. Musa taxed salt caravans crossing the desert. He charged traders for protection, passage, and goods. Every gram of salt brought wealth into his empire. His power expanded as Mali took control of trade routes stretching thousands of miles. Merchants traveling from Europe, Arabia, or North Africa had no choice but to pass through Mali. And Musa made money from every one of them. He wasn't just wealthy, he controlled wealth. His empire was the financial center of the medieval world, even though most of the world didn't realize it. And then, Musa decided to do something that made his name echo across continents. He announced a pilgrimage, a journey to Mecca. And with this single journey, he shocked the entire world. This journey would show just how wealthy he truly was, and what happened next would cause a global economic crisis. When Mansa Musa began his pilgrimage to Mecca, no one expected what they were about to witness. He didn't travel alone. He didn't travel with soldiers only. He traveled with an entire city behind him. Historians say he took 60,000 people on his journey. Among them were servants, officials, scholars, soldiers, cooks, artists, and merchants. It was the largest royal procession the medieval world had ever seen. But the real shock wasn't the number of people. It was the amount of gold Musa carried. He traveled with 100 camels, each camel carrying 300 pounds of pure gold. That is more than 13,000 pounds of gold in modern weight. And this was only the gold he carried for charity. The rest of his wealth stayed back home in Mali. As he crossed the Sahara Desert, news about him began to spread. People had never seen this much wealth moving across the world. Merchants gathered to watch. Traders wrote stories. Cities prepared to receive him. But it was Egypt where the world finally understood the scale of his riches. When Musa entered Cairo, the city froze. No king had ever arrived with so much gold. He gave away gold freely to the poor. He bought luxurious goods at high prices. He paid generous amounts to workers and traders. He spent so much gold in Cairo that the price of gold dropped by 20%. He caused inflation across the entire Middle East. Imagine a single person spending so much money that an entire region's economy collapses. It took Egypt more than 10 years to recover from the price crash. Nobody in history, not Bezos, not Musk, not Rockefeller, has ever caused an economic crisis by spending too much money. Musa did. This pilgrimage transformed his name into a global legend. Everywhere he went, people wrote about him. Arab historians, European travelers, and African scholars documented his wealth. Maps created in Europe started showing Mali as the land of gold. Musa was no longer just a king. He became the richest human alive, perhaps the richest human ever. But Musa wasn't only interested in wealth. After returning to Mali, he invested massively in education, architecture, and trade. He built the famous University of Timbuktu. He imported scholars and built libraries. He turned Mali into the intellectual center of Africa. He used his wealth to build cities, mosques, and trade hubs. Economists today struggle to calculate his net worth, but most estimates place him at more than $400 billion in today's value. Some place him at over $500 billion. That is more than Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos combined. It makes him wealthier than any modern billionaire. And he did it without stocks, technology, markets, or industries. He did it with natural resources and trade routes, two things more powerful than any industry. Today, Musa proved that billionaires didn't emerge because of modern capitalism. They existed long before, when the world was still discovering itself. But his story doesn't end there, because after Musa's era, the world started creating billionaires in a completely different way. After Mansa Musa, the world changed dramatically. Empires rose and fell, new trade systems emerged, and wealth moved from kings to merchants. The next era of billionaires didn't come from gold. It came from industries. In the 1800s, something powerful happened. The Industrial Revolution began. Machines replaced manual labor. Factories replaced workshops. And countries like America, Britain, and Germany became industrial superpowers. This era produced the first modern billionaires. They were not kings. They were entrepreneurs. They didn't inherit wealth. They created it. One of the most famous early billionaires was John D. Rockefeller. He built the Standard Oil Company in the late 1800s. Oil was the gold of the industrial age. Factories needed it. Railroads needed it. Ships needed it. And Rockefeller controlled almost 90% of America's oil supply. His personal wealth grew to an estimated $400 billion in today's money. That placed him side by side with Mansa Musa on the list of history's richest people. Then came Andrew Carnegie, who dominated the steel industry. Steel built bridges, buildings, trains, and war machines. Carnegie built an empire out of metal. He sold his company for $480 million in 1901, an amount unimaginable at the time. These early billionaires didn't rely on inherited empires. They built industries from scratch. They created supply chains. They established global trade systems. They modernized nations. Fast forward to the 20th and 21st centuries. A new category of billionaires emerged. Technology billionaires. People like Bill Gates built fortunes from software. Jeff Bezos built an empire from e-commerce. Elon Musk used technology to dominate electric cars and space travel. Mark Zuckerberg built wealth through social connections. But what connects all billionaires from Musa to Musk is one simple truth. They didn't just make money. They changed the world. They shaped economies, technologies, and societies. The origin of billionaires didn't start with capitalism. It started with control. Control of land, control of gold, control of trade, and later, control of industries and ideas. Mansa Musa controlled the world's gold. Rockefeller controlled the world's oil. Modern billionaires controlled data, technology, and innovation. The tools changed, but the pattern stayed the same. The first billionaire in history wasn't a tech genius. He wasn't an industrialist. He wasn't a banker. He was a king whose wealth was so massive, it broke economies. And today's billionaires continue the same tradition in different ways. Because wealth isn't just about money. It's about influence. It's about power. It's about shaping the world in ways others cannot. And that is the true origin of billionaires. Want more stories like this? Hit like, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who dreams of becoming a billionaire.